Welcome, everybody, to this new episode of CCIR's Student Spotlight. With me today is Karth Atmakuru. Karth is a current 10th grader at Quarry Lane School in Dublin, California. During his time at CCIR, Karth took a natural language processing course with Dr. Tahir Pilbar from the University of Cambridge. And for his final project at CCIR, Karth looked at the application of natural language processing and machine learning in categorizing and assessing US airline reviews on Twitter. Really excited to have you today, Karth. First things first, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
So, Karth, let's begin by talking a little bit about how you found your way to CCIR, and in particular, how you found your way to this natural language processing course. So, what was your background? What was your interest in NLP, and what was your interest in research?
So even before CCIR, I had an interest in AI. Uh, this wasn't my first AI course. I've done a few last summer, but the reason I wanted to go to CCIR is because it's a course that offers a really good topic with really accomplished professionals. So I would have that experience and like I'll build on my AI knowledge. And I specifically chose NLP because it's still a really hot topic, and the majority of AI right now, the really popular apps and everything like ChatGPT, they're all based on NLP. So I wanted to figure out what goes on behind the scenes and just uh, cater
Excellent,
to my curiosity.
excellent. So tell me a little bit about sort of your comparing sort of your previous exposure to AI and NLP and this sort of more research focused way of engaging with this or project driven and research focused thing that we do here at CCIR. What were some of the major differences that you saw, if any?
Yeah, there's quite a few differences. For my previous courses, they mainly just covered the basics of like what AI is, what it's applied to, without any actual application. And what I like about CCIR is that it you actually get to work on a project that can be published, and you still get to learn more advanced topics, and those topics are specific towards your path, which I like.
Mhm. So tell me a little bit about sort of the way that Tahir ended up structuring your course. So typically the way it works here at CCIR is that the first 6 to 7 weeks of the program are a little bit more exploratory. So they're sort of laying down the groundwork of what you'll eventually be relying on as you pursue your research. So tell me a little bit about some of the sort of maybe pick 1 or 2 moments in the first 6 to 7 weeks of a lecture that really struck you as interesting or a topic that really sort of caught your attention.
Uh, I think the first lecture, day one, was immediately caught me my attention because we like from the ground up we immediately started with learning about word embeddings, which is a fundamental part of NLP. And then later throughout the course, we basically built, throughout the days, we built up our knowledge on NLP. And then on the last few lecture sessions, we basically learned about neural networks, how they work, and uh, especially like the mathematical sense of it. And that was really interesting because not only do we learn about it, but Professor Palevar, he makes us read about it at home and try to increase our knowledge as much as possible on the area. So I really like that.
Mhm. That's super interesting. So, as you sort of explored these different topics, one of the things that ends up happening is you have to start thinking about your project that you're going to do and your research. So, tell me a little bit about the transition process, I guess, from the more teaching heavy part and to actually thinking about your project. How did that transition go? In what ways did Tahir sort of facilitate this transition for you?
Uh, so Professor Palevar, he was really helpful in uh, for like making it easier to select a project. He gave us a document with a bunch of topics and different opportunities for research. So I had a lot of difficulty picking the topic because I was interested in so many different things. But then ultimately, I decided to do sentiment analysis, which is analyzing the sentiment of text.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, so maybe explain a little bit for those of us who don't know, sort of in depth, how NLP is applied to something like sentiment analysis.
So basically, uh, there are these NLP models whose tasks are to uh, they have a large word bank. So from those words, you could fine tune those models on a task like sentiment analysis by giving it a data set that has a bunch of words and the sentiments from those uh, sentences. And then if you train those models on that data set, uh, you could fine tune it such that it could predict the sentiment of any text you input it into it.
Hmm. Hmm. And what are some of, we will talk a little bit about your specific application of the sentiment analysis technology, but what are some of the sort of existing prevalent applications of sentiment analysis?
Uh, there's a lot. Uh, One would be analyzing like reviews. Uh, uh, some other ones could be uh, maybe like even in reviews, there's a bunch of specific ones like movie reviews, like book reviews, and then you could add sentiment analysis with other tasks like classification. So you could give like a rating for a review, like a 4 star out of 5 star. It's like you could combine it with a bunch of other tasks to cater toward anything basically.
Hmm. Hmm. So I guess maybe we should then just focus a little bit on your specific project. So you decided to focus on something pretty interesting. So you decided to look at US airline reviews on Twitter. And as we know, Twitter is a pretty sentimental place. People get very angry on Twitter. People vent things on Twitter. So you decided to apply the sort of sentiment analysis technology and machine learning and so on to look specifically at US airline reviews. First question is, how did you pick this specific issue? And what was it like developing your project here?
So I picked US airline reviews because I found I was looking online for a bunch of data sets on for sentiment analysis, and then US airline reviews stood out to me because of the vast collection of uh, Twitter reviews, and then all of them were unique and had uh, different like levels of like aggression or like calmness. So I felt like uh, it could also be has a good application towards airlines because uh, they have an opportunity to have a database full of honest reviews from passionate reviewers. So uh, using that data to help solve their main problems would be useful to retain happy customers.
So tell me a little bit about how this technology will be able to sort of help them solve their problems, at least in theory.
In theory, they could, at least what I did was I use an NLP model called Albert, which basically performs sentiment analysis on the data. And then from that, it could generate uh, a, a picture. And then in that picture, there's a bunch of these words from negative reviews. And depending on how big the word is in that picture, it tells how prevalent that or how many times that word appeared in a negative review. So from these words, uh, like uh, airline companies could tell like what factors or like what major things affected the person's negative review, and also uh, you could predict the reason for negative reviews. For example, like customer service issues, late flights, or like lost baggage.
Mhm, mhm. Um, I'm curious here. So, I guess first question is so have you already finished the paper? Is it a current work in progress?
Uh, it's a current work in progress. It's still uh, uh, under review. I
Mhm.
haven't published it to any like papers or anything yet, but
Yeah.
I've worked on it.
So under review is already great. So that means you've already sort of completed it and you're submitted
Yeah.
and you're looking at it. So I'm curious about your experience working on sort of the research paper. So have you ever written anything sort of this at this level of professionalism before?
Uh, I don't think I have. Uh, but it was a lot easier because Professor Plevhart, he gave us a lot of templates and examples from even his own work.
Mhm.
Uh, so he basically provided us a structure so that we won't have to worry about the little things and we could just focus on our topic and note down any observations, our the purpose of our project and things like that.
Mhm, mhm. That's really fantastic. Yeah, Tahir really is an excellent mentor insofar as he really scaffolds, I think, the research experience. So you're sort of given all sorts of structures and you sort of just like move through his little structure. Um, I'm also curious here about the peer-to-peer aspect of your program. So, with the Future Scholar, one of the nice things about that program is that you get to work with other kids who are also nerdy about the thing that you're nerdy about. So tell me a little bit about what that was like, sort of working with other students and learning about what they were working on and so on.
I feel like I would not retain as much information if uh, like there weren't any peers in this course because basically every lecture day we're required to make a presentation on what we gathered, what information we learned, and almost everyone had different perspectives and different ideas on what they learned, and then everyone had stuff to add on to each other. So if this was like a solo thing, uh, I don't think any of us would have learned as much as we did. And I learned a lot from my peers, especially during the project times, like their what struggles they had, their uh mistakes, and what they've uh accomplished and uh their findings. So it was really fun.
Yeah. That's super, super great to hear. It really is one of the best aspects, I think, of the Future Scholar program that kids who are interested in NLP, quantum physics can find like peers of theirs that are as good as what they do, as good as they are, and also sort of passionate about what they're passionate about. Um, I want to now ask you a little bit more about this entire experience of doing research and exploring computer science. Has this at all informed your sense of maybe what you want to major in, what you want to work on in the future at all?
Uh, I feel like it definitely solidified my interest in computer science, but I'm not sure I would want to. I'm not sure what I want to pursue later inside computer science, but uh, this course has definitely like gave me a lot of experience on how like research works and uh, like what how much knowledge you have to learn and apply to basically find new things.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So the entire course is definitely designed so as to help students sort of understand what is entailed through the world of research. Um, So, as we sort of gradually get to this 20-minute mark, I want to now raise a question that is sort of my wrap-up question. And it's a question I ask almost every single student that does this interview. And the question is roughly this. Um, you've just gone through a 13-week, or a while ago, you went through a 13-week program that is, we can be honest with each other, not the easiest thing in the world. It's pretty intensive. You're working at a really high level of complexity. You're doing research and sinking a lot of time into this project of yours. For a lot of students looking to the program and seeing the level of work that you're producing after 13 weeks and the sort of intensity of this program, they tend to be a little bit daunted by the prospects of this program. They're a little worried that maybe they haven't done research before, maybe they can't handle this sort of computer science course. As someone who's come through the other side, what would you say to a student who is, let's say, interested in research, but a little bit nervous to dive right in?
I would say to absolutely go for it if you're passionate about a certain topic, because even if you're like it's understandably scared about uh like an intensive course or like working on research projects, there's a lot of people there to help you, a lot of resources online, and basically if you just keep building on what you've learned session after session, and then regularly try to apply those concepts. Uh, and if you are really interested in what you want to achieve, then research will be just fine.
Mhm. Yeah, it won't be hard work if you're having fun the whole time. I think that's absolutely right. So, with that final question, I want to say, Karth, this has been really excellent learning about your research experience here at CCIR and learning about all the work that you've been doing. I want to just say, as a closer, I wish you sort of best of luck in your future explorations of computer science and all your other future endeavors as well.
All right, thank you.